Hello, hello, and welcome to this week's episode of The Hard Choice. My name is Brad Draper, and I am grateful to have this conversation with you. This is episode 2 of The One Question. I love these episodes. I love doing them, and I love sharing them. The conversations, the comments, the different things people have said about how much they have enjoyed these episodes has been astounding, and it has been a blast to bring my friends on to this series and to share with you a little bit of their insight. After all, I, Brad Draper, do not know everything. I know that's a bit of a shocker to some of you, but it's true. I know little bit. And it is so awesome to bring my friends on that are absolutely crushing their space, that are doing phenomenal things and making huge impact, huge waves into their own little bit of the world. And in turn, the world is changing because of them. I know so many people that have heard Dusky and this week's episode and the future people that will be on this show, and how cool it is to bring my friends into this space and allow you to hear from them and to learn about them and to research them and find them on their social medias. I encourage you to reach out. I encourage you to ponder about what our speaker, our guest, has to share today. Now, when I record these, I record the first section, and then I record the calls with my friends, and then I record the post section. The reason for doing these calls is I want to make it very, very easy on them. They don't have to travel to me. We don't have to sync up a day and time and knock out several hours of production. It is simply a call with my friends, and I let you in on just a little bit, just one question that they would share to have the greatest impact. Now, this person that I'm having on, his name is Jim Morris. Give you a little bit of background on Jim and I. We met at an event in Beverly Hills. A mutual friend of ours was releasing his book, and we were both there in support of our friend. What does that tell you about Jim? By the way, when you are in support of somebody and you meet somebody else that is also there in support of that same somebody, you automatically have something in common. You automatically have shareable ground to communicate on, and that your values and ethics are probably in line to some degree. So cool to meet people at events where you're simply supporting and find out the other people are doing the same thing. The event we went to, there was nothing to be sold. There was no selling pitches. It was simply to add value. And that's where I met Jim. He is a gargantuan of a human. I'm not small. I'm not short. And I look up to Jim, literally. And he is the most loving, kind-hearted soul up there with I've ever met. He's up there in the single digits on compassion, the love, the care that he has for all of humanity. He wants everybody to win. And so that's why I wanted to bring him onto The One Question. That's why I wanted to share his love and his compassion with you so you may learn and grow and learn. And if you find alignment, I encourage you to reach out to Jim. He shares his handles, he shares where to find him and how to get a hold of him. So without further ado, here we go. We got my boy, Jim. All right, guys, welcome to this week's episode of The One Question. I have with me the man, the myth, the legend, Jim Morris. Jim and I met not too long ago, actually. Our relationship is only a few months old, but I will tell you what, our relationship is way older than that. We go on a spiritual level, and we connected instantly. And I knew I had to bring Jim to my following, because they needed to hear what he's doing. It's impactful, as you can see his shirt right there. And it is impressive and amazing. You will see him on the biggest stages in the world, I promise you. But the question that I had for Jim You were originally in real estate and you jumped ship from real estate and went all in on stages, hosting events. Take me through that, man.
So for me, I've always been around the event industry. I've always been in the service minded, servant heart focus. And I woke up about a year and a half ago and realized that I just wasn't making the impact on the world that I had the opportunity to make the impact on the world. And through that process, I had an event company. I was doing some networking events. And what I realized was, well, I have this stage and I have this following and influence and brand, but I'm actually not contributing from an impact standpoint to the attendees. I'm
Right.
just housing a gathering or experience. So for me, through that process, what I realized was I have a lot to say. I've ran businesses, I've sold businesses, I've failed businesses, I've blown up businesses. And how can I make an impact from the stage, but also be the conduit that provides the platform for others to impact the world and
That's what's up.
elevate their brand and their impact and their influence. So for me, it was an opportunity where I woke up and said, I'm just not contributing to the world at the level that I can, at the level that satisfies me, and at the level that makes me want to get up and make an impact and work hard and continue pouring into the community.
Dude, that is straight fire. And you hit something impressive that you are simply a conduit. You are housing an experience. I've been as well to a lot of events, and it's very obvious when they're trying to create impact, trying to house an experience, and when they're trying to make money.
Yeah.
It is and both of them are grandiose. They're live. They're great. The energy's super high. People walk away from both of them saying that was amazing. But being a speaker and being one that has been to so many, I know the difference when you're just trying to utilize that person's audience for your bank account and how less of an impact that is. And people walk away feeling motivated. They feel pumped up and they use absolutely nothing that they heard
Yeah.
because all they heard on stages was people sell, 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 sell. One thing that Jim did not state is on his stages, you won't hear people selling their courses. You won't hear people selling anything outside of selling you to do better on your own self. And that's it. And it's so much more impactful and so much more utilizing, I guess is the word I'm trying to say. And it's just beyond breathtaking to see it be done that way. And I've actually talked to several people that own events and said, yo, you need to learn what my dude Jim is doing over at Impact Effect because he's changing the name of the game. They
Well, I
will
think
not
for
be the
me,
same anymore.
anything that I've done has always been to disrupt um, a norm or an industry. A lot of people will categorize me when everybody's zigging, I like to zag. And although that works in a lot of situations, it doesn't work in some. But I think that the real skill and the real test is to take the risk on what you truly believe. And for me, I've been around events, I've paid lots of money, I've done the VIP, I've had the experience, and I wanted to disrupt what upset me, what really pissed me off. And that was the selling from stage, every single speaker. And I understand the logistics behind it. And if you don't know how events work or speakers works, I'll give you a 10-second pitch on it, on how this typically works. Not at Impact, but typically. Hey, you want to charge me a lot of money to speak? I don't have that money. Well, why don't you reduce your fee and I'll let you sell your product and you'll make the difference up in your fee to what I paid you by selling from stage. And for a host, someone like me, and a speaker, someone like me, that may make a lot of sense. And that's very easy. And that reduces the financial burden that the host has to pay the speaker up front. And that's why a majority of these things happen that way. And I just want to disrupt the norm and play a little outside of what's considered normal or regular in the industry. And what it's done is, I believe it's propelled my brand, it's propelled my reputation, because it's not a pitch fest and it's not all sales. But here's the truth, Brad. What it's also done, it's also disrupted people who have events like that. So you're not only talking to a host, but you're also talking to a speaker who gets booked. Well, I didn't get booked on a speaking gig because I'm so vocal about these types of events. And I actually think that that's what has allowed me to make the impact. If I'm not getting booked on a stage that someone was going to typically book me on, because I'm out here publicly saying I want to disrupt the industry, and their event was a pitch, then why would I want to be on something like that? And that actually validates the impact that I'm making by doing it just a little bit different, right? Because people are hearing about it, people are experiencing it, people are talking about it, and it's pissing off someone. So
Yes.
that's exactly what I wanted to do through the brand and through Impact Effect, is disrupt.
Yes. I love that. And I think that is the real nugget, honestly, is what do you really care about? You mentioned find what you really care about and then disrupt something.
I love it.
Shake it up. I've got a good friend that talks about throwing money in a bowl, a whole bunch of money's in a bowl. We all have the bowl. And the more you shake that thing, anything that comes out is yours. Just stir that nest. And it creates a difference. Everybody's done like that from history. But I know you have a lot of time. I'm grateful for your time. I'm grateful for joining this episode of The Hard Choice, Simple Steps for Showing Up. And the one question, where can they find you, Jim?
At therealjimmorris.com, at therealjimmorris on social handles.
Love it. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I love you, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
How awesome was that? I'm speechless. I can't even say the words. How awesome was that? Fun fact. I have been on episodes where somebody says that they fumble over their words. Oh, they're not perfect. And that's fine. But then they say, pause. Editor, can you please take that out? Side note for my producers, don't take any of this out because I run things raw. I run things straight to you. I run all of my episodes in continuous recording. I don't edit out anything because I want to be fully present with you and help you recognize no one's perfect. I hope you understand how imperfect I am and how imperfect all this stuff that I do is. But that doesn't keep me from moving forward. When I was at Jim's event a couple of weeks back, it was imperfect. There were problems. He relayed to me issues that he learned for next time. And here's the thing. Next time will be even better because he learned, right? And to the general populace, it was flawless without issue at all. And that's what matters most, is that they had a fantastic time. Now, as to my answer, for those that don't know, I have gone down the rabbit hole on public speaking. I actually utilize this podcast as a form of getting my reps in. That's why I run continuous. That's why I don't edit anything out. I want you in the raw, in the real, exactly as I am. And are there mess ups? Of course there's mess ups. Will I mess up on stage? Of course I will. And I have. That's totally fine because we're human and we're doing the very best that we can. Side note, sometimes the best isn't good enough and you got to get better. And that's okay too, because that comes with learning. But I spoke on TEDx stage back in October. I've spoken on a stage with some of the biggest names in the speaking industry in the world. And that is such a blessing. And I look forward to the opportunity to be on the biggest stages of the world. But where did this all come from? Why did I leave my career as an executive of a laboratory, which is what I got my degree in? Why did I step foot into this unknown world that is considered to be very saturated, which is the world of motivational speakers and keynote speakers? At the end of the day, I had a vision. And I knew that I needed to be on stages to impact people, to cause a difference, to share a thought. The whole idea of TEDx is a thought worth sharing. And when you share a thought, you share a piece of yourself. How cool is that? How resourceful is that? And I love being on stages. Some people, it's considered one of the biggest fears in the world, right? Standing on a stage and speaking in front of people, public speaking. And that is not something I have ever shied away from. Do I get the butterflies? Of course. Do people interpret that as anxiety? Of course. Can it also be interpreted as excitement? Absolutely. It's all the way you look at things. When I was getting ready to go on stage for TEDx, I asked, how are the feelings of the speakers? And the host said, there's a lot of nervousness. There's a lot of anxiety. And I said, do you realize the physiological response to nervousness and anxiety is the same physiological response to excitement? And it is your determination and your decision and your choice on which you feel most. Interesting, right? Interesting way to look at it, to think about it. It's just a reframe of mind, and you can change the entire experience into a resourceful and excited one. Where is that happening in your life? And for me, speaking on stages, that is where I feel called to do. That is my North Star. That is why I have turned down multiple six-figure jobs, multiple six-figure jobs, because that will not allow me to jump on any stage at any time whenever I feel inclined to do so, which is as often as I can. Side note, if you have a stage, I want to speak on it and impact people. Let's get together and talk. But I'm grateful you were able to listen and learn from Jim. He is a stellar human being. I encourage you to look him up on socials. As well, find me at Mr. Brad Draper. Leave me a review on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, wherever you listen to this thing. Like it, subscribe to it, download it for future listenings. Continue this conversation with your friends and your family. What is holding you back from doing the thing that you're most passionate about and giving impact to the world? I love you guys. Bye.